Welcome to Dig Deep, the mining podcast. In this podcast, we go deep into mining news, hot topics, and live interviews with mining professionals and leading figures in the mining industry. Introducing your host, Rob Tyson, founder and director of Mining International and Mining International Executive, a leading global mining recruitment and headhunting agency.
Hi, mining community. Welcome back to another episode of the Dig Deep, the mining podcast. And today's guest is Sonia Scarselli, who's the Vice President of BHP Metal Exploration and BHP Xplor, which is a global accelerator program targeting innovative early-stage mineral exploration companies to find the critical resources necessary to drive their energy transition. Sonia is a highly experienced geologist, having worked in both the oil and gas and mining industries, and has been with BHP for over a decade. So he's going to talk about the global exploration market, also obviously talk about the BHP Xplor Program, and a lot around the junior mining space. And obviously at the moment it's a pretty difficult landscape. So there's obviously a lot to talk about. Sonia's also going to be at the attending the Europe's largest mining event, which is Resourcing Tomorrow, formerly known as Mines and Money, which is taking place in London on the 28th to 30th of November, which is in probably a few weeks' time, where it's a great platform for the entire value chain, fostering learning. There's lively debates and providing some valuable networking opportunities. So I encourage you who's listening to go and get your tickets. And you can access that via looking at the show notes of company's podcast, or if you're looking at on the YouTube channel, which is below. There's also a discount code there, so you can get some discounts on those tickets. So go ahead and get your tickets now. And as I said, Sonia's going to be speaking there. So let's welcome Sonia to the podcast. How you doing, Sonia?
I'm very good, Rob. Thank you very much for having me today on the podcast.
And I appreciate your time as well. We were speaking off air, and I know how busy you are. So really appreciate your time. So as we always start these podcasts off, just wondering if you can tell us a little bit about your career, your background. A lot of people like this part of the episode, apart from it's the start, but it's good to let everyone know a little bit about the guest, and sometimes may say things that are not necessarily out there or even being spoken about. So I'll hand over to you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Rob. As you mentioned before, I have a geological background. I've been having quite an interesting career on my life. I moved quite a bit around the world and done quite a few different things. As you pick from my accent, I'm definitely not English speaker. That's not my natural language. I'm born and raised in Italy, and that's where I did my master in geology. As I completed my master in geology, I did have a little bit of time and experience in Spain for a year, where I dipped down in some geological aspect and worked at the University of Barcelona. And after that, I had a very interesting step into a very cool project where I worked on a research project that was with the European Space Agency and with NASA. And I was looking at Mars. And that was fascinating for me, how you can, from remote sensing technique, build the entire geology of a new planet. From there, I moved into Switzerland to do my PhD at ETH, where I doubled down in big picture thinking. I've always been fascinated by tectonics, geodynamics. So I spent a couple of years working on my PhD. And as I completed that, I decided it was a time for me to do a change on my career. Instead of continuing in academia, I decided to actually join the oil and gas industry. And I started with ExxonMobil in UK, which was very great for me because I was was completely new. I never done any of that. I didn't even know what it was, oil and gas. And how you get to from an idea generation in geology down to a commercial project. So I quite enjoyed to step into that space and new learning opportunity. And I had a brief period in London, and then I moved to Norway, where I spent roughly a year and a half working on the North Sea. At that time of my career was actually I got given by Exxon an amazing opportunities to do an MBA at London Business School through the ExxonMobil MBA, and for me was a clear stepping stone of my future career, where I married the technical with more the business, the commercial, and the financial. So how you take a very great geological opportunities, ideas, and making into investment decision, bring forward an investment, and how that look like within a company strategy and within a company portfolio. So I have putting together and connecting the two things was something that really stick with me and remain with me throughout my career. I spent then after Norway, I moved to United States, so a little bit of going around with the company, and I spent a couple of years working multiple projects. My role has always been changing quite a fast pace. I don't think they have been in any role more than a year and a half. So I had a quite fast career from that respect, and I was privileged enough to be on this great training program with Exxon, and I worked from production, development, research, exploration, so across the value chain of oil and gas, which was great. And I had projects everywhere. I worked at Papua New Guinea, Southeast Asia, Kurdistan, Argentina, Colombia. So there was a lot of variability on what we were doing. Then from Exxon, I decided to move to BHP, where I spent over a decade, and that's where I started my first leadership roles. Early on, I joined the oil and gas asset of BHP. I used to call it Petroleum as a part of our internal portfolio. And it was really interesting for me because the petroleum part of the organization was going through restructuring and changes and challenges. And I saw that being an amazing opportunity to actually have the ability to bring in something new, to do things differently. And I was given the space to do that. And I did that through different leadership team. One of the roles I enjoyed the most was leading our exploration in Trinidad and Tobago, deep water. There was the first ultra deep water exploration activity in the region of Trinidad and Tobago. The closest well we had was 200 kilometers, so it was a true wildcat exploration, and we had a very tight timeline on the licenses, only for a 5 years licenses, and I think we had 9 well commitments, so something enormous, and no data. So we had to do everything in a very fast way, and also drill in a very safe way in an area that we didn't have much information. So I do really enjoy that experience because we had to think differently. We had to work in parallel between regulatory approval and framework, building capabilities, acquiring data, and deciding where to drill. And we ended up becoming top 10 percentile in the industry on executing this type of activities. And we drilled the first well, which I'm really proud of because we also had a discovery. So all in all, great experience. Through that, my last role in petroleum was leading our global exploration for petroleum. And that's prior to divest the petroleum business, where then I decided to remain with the BHP and moving into to our mining divisions. If I have to reflect back on my petroleum experience, I always say that I was privileged in the way that each role I had helped me build both technical capabilities as well as commercial capabilities. And the two things have been always married together. And then I had the opportunity to get bigger and bigger teams, and also working more and more across the enterprise and understanding at the enterprise level how a large organization like BHP function. And all of this really helped to build very strong leadership capabilities and bring that back, especially now onto something like Xplor. My last 2 years have been extremely exciting, fast-pacing. I joined the mining side of BHP. That's where I created and executed the Xplor Program, the first accelerator in the mining industry, and it's been a stellar success. I'm absolutely proud of it. And as 2 months ago, I stepped into the role of the vice president for mineral exploration, and now I can see really bringing together both Xplor and metal exploration. I'm just looking forward to the great thing to come.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Sonia, for that. Before we speak about the BHP Xplor program, I suppose I want to talk about the exploration space at the moment. And obviously, we're off the back of an era with a lot of underinvestment in mineral exploration. Where do you see the future of exploration heading? And obviously, as a leader, how are you shaping the future of exploration at BHP?
This is a great question because it really set the context on where we are today. So today we have a clear increase demand of mineral resources, especially the critical mineral resources. But we also have undersupply of those resources. And the undersupply is simply due to the fact that historically, in the past 20 years, the trend of investing in exploration, both from investing in new opportunities and unlocking in new opportunities, as well as in technologies that can accelerate our exploration, just went down. And so the consequence is that we haven't had any large discovery in the last 20 years of resources such as copper and nickel. We haven't found and replaced big mines like Escondida or Olympic Dam. That just haven't happened. And so the challenge and the opportunity we are facing with exploration is getting into a period where we're a little bit dry on what is out there in the market that we can go and step in and buy. And we haven't developed the technologies and the capabilities that we need going forward to unlock more resources. And now is a pivot point. It's a pivotal because the demand is just increasing. It's not stopping. And so the role of exploration is really to reinvent themselves, to reinvent ourselves today to be able to deliver what is needed in the mid and the long term by the increased demand. So how do we do that in exploration for BHP? To me, there are three clear areas that I want to double down. The first one is partnership and collaborations. The partnership and the collaboration, whether it is with our peers to unlock larger regions potential, or to the juniors through Xplor to have this concept of crowdsourcing exploration externally, is a partnership between the private and the public. There is increased demand, but there is also increased country tension around the mining and opening mining. And there are also a lot of the country where we're looking for potential, they have challenges from above ground point of view. So how we're partnering with the government to actually work together to solutions that are sustainable for countries, but can accelerate resources. So that is a big one. The other big area of development is technologies. We have been lagging on bringing forward new technologies to unlock deeper potential, to accelerate our exploration activities and the development itself. So how we're partnering both with the industry, but also looking outside to a different ecosystem. It could be oil and gas, but it could be other infrastructure heavy type of industry that can help us to that. It could be technology in the sense of IT, Silicon Valley, on how we can analyze the data faster. And it could be with the space type of industry that are looking at remote sensing technique to image better. So the ecosystem is much bigger than what we're looking, but definitely technology is going to be a big unlocker. And lastly is talent. We are seeing a massive scarcity in talent development. So how we are partnering with universities, with academia to develop the next generation of talent, and how does the talent look like? The talents that we needed in the past are not the talents that we're needing in the future. So how we're creating that today.
How do you see the electrification and an energy transition influencing the future of mineral exploration?
I think the electrification and the energy transition, it is one of our main drivers in terms of acceleration. And why I see that demand of resources has always been quite a consistent and constant through years based on what was needed from a supply point of view. But as we are looking at the energy transition, we are shifting the energy supply from fossil fuel type of resources, so oil and gas and coal, into a renewable type of resources. And those renewable type of resources, first of all, to build those wind cells, wind turbine, those solar panel, modular nuclear type of industries. All of these will require a lot more mineral resources that's been required in the past. Then electric vehicles will require a much larger amount of copper and nickel, the copper that wires the electric vehicles itself, and the nickel that goes in the batteries, the lithium that goes in the batteries. So we will need more resources across all the value chain of new energy transition. We'll need at least 3 times the amount of copper that we're using today by 2030, and similar number are for nickel. I mean, this is daunting because we don't have a supply and an output of this amount today. And so that's what is definitely driving for looking for new resources. The new resources we're looking, they have to have the right quality. They have to have the right grade. The work we are doing has to be done in a very sustainable way. So we need to leave the place better than when we arrive in terms of mining the resources. But nevertheless, we need to accelerate. The trend, especially in exploration and development, has gone from discovering, exploring and developing in 10 years. We're now double down. So now it takes 20 years from idea generation to a mining ready to produce new resources. So that's definitely a negative trend because we doubled the time. So we need to shift that to accelerate back in a sustainable way and do that so that we can supply the resources that actually society needs for the energy transition if we want to reach the 2050 goal of net zero.
I want to speak about the BHP Xplor Program now, and obviously there's been a lot of interest in the program. I wonder if you could just share a little bit more about the program, and I suppose what are some of the benefits to some of these junior explorers that are chosen to be on the program.
Let me give a little bit of context first on what is Xplor. So I say the word accelerator a couple of times. The accelerator concept is not something that we have created at BHP. So the accelerator concept is being created in the tech world, and it's really a tool that for a long time, mainly Silicon Valley has used to take concept stage ideas of a startup and accelerate these concept stage ideas to executable opportunities with a very clear business plan and an ability to scale them up. So that's how accelerator have been used. The other big industry they use accelerator is actually pharmaceutical, and maybe it's more familiar to many people. For example, when we were going through COVID and trying to find the vaccine solution, that's how Pfizer looked for finding the first vaccine was to look through an accelerator model, multiple companies with the same idea for a vaccine and which one they could accelerate. So these two industries been very abreast of accelerating concept, especially when we are looking with a lot of uncertainty of success and R&D. So we decided What BHP was trying to do was to expand our search space globally. We do have a global exploration team, but you can never work the globe at the same time. Otherwise, you will have to hire an impossible amount of people, and we will never have the knowledge of all the jurisdiction and the detail we need, because we need to understand the geology, but we also need to understand how to operate in those jurisdictions, and we need to understand the above ground of those jurisdictions. That is a massive amount of work. And so we look ourselves and thought, how can we still open up the search space globally, but doing in a way that is sustainable and it doesn't require a massive increase of our organization. And we thought about unlocking a different type of partnership and a little bit doing more of a crowdsourcing effort. And that's how the accelerator program came, because we don't just want to look at opportunities, but we also wanted to help these companies to thrive as they are developing their ideas, so that their ideas can lead to further partnership with ourselves, but also to further partnership in the industries. So that's how initially the accelerator concept started. And then going a little bit more into the program itself, what we put together and we built is a bespoke 6 months program where the selected candidates they are coming into the program get to spend 6 months to take their geologic idea and concept and maturing it, putting it in a proper technical frame and context where we provide them with mentorship and support and technical guidance where they need. It is a mutual agreement on what they want and what they need. And on top of that, we also support them in different areas, whether it is business and financial, operational. We provide them with advisor around HSE if they need to improve their HSE practices, or if they need the stakeholder engagement, community engagement, we put them in contact with our internal expert. Likewise, if they need to find the vendors for their operation, we help them with that. So we really take this 6 months to make to accelerate their activities, to make them ready to go in the field and to carry on whatever activity it is, which could go from collecting data down to drilling and moving forward their opportunity. At the end of the 6 months, all the companies in the program have received a full curriculum of health support. My goal has always been to make their opportunity investable going forward, whether that is from BHP or other investor, is agnostic. We want them to come out of the program with the best chance to raise the capital they need. During the program, they also get financial support. And then at the end of the program, they have the ability to look for more financial support, both at BHP and externally. We ran the first year cohort where we had 7 companies part of the Xplor program. And it's been a massive learning opportunity for both of us. We learned a lot from them as equally as they learn from working with us. And more than anything, we built a very strong partnership with all the 7 companies. And those collaborations to me are the most valuable piece because they unlock further potential going forward.
Sounds like a great program. And considering your increased recent investment in the junior explorer space, such as obviously the Xplor program, what role do you see juniors playing in finding more discoveries?
Juniors are foot on the ground. They are the companies that not only have the concept and the idea, but they've been exploring on the same area for a very long time. So they understand the geology, they understand the data, they understand what's there and what's not there. They know how to move. They have a very clear understanding of who are the stakeholders, how to engage with those stakeholders. And when you think about how large is the junior market and how many companies are out there, they pretty much cover the globe. So they have a massive role to really keep bringing forward new ideas and new concepts. They also work differently compared to larger enterprises. They have to be more agile. They have more limited budget and resources. They need to really focus on what matters and what is important. They need to move at pace. Their ideas and concept is their life. Is basically their baby. So they need to do their work in a way that maybe large corporations don't, and they need to move faster than us. So we're been learning a lot from that space, especially on running the business in a more agile and nimble way than how we're used at.
What's your vision for the future of mineral exploration at BHP, and how do you plan on leading exploration towards the vision of the company?
The future for exploration for BHP is shifting on becoming a leader from a growth point of view. And when I say that, is around three main areas that to me really matters that we need to change. So the first one is really around the partnership and the collaboration. We're learning a little bit from Xplor on proper partnership and collaboration with the junior world, but there is a need of partnership and collaboration with the large enterprises like ourselves, with some of our peers. That is, to me, is a vital to unlock bigger regional scale jurisdiction and provinces that have potential to deliver tier one assets for critical mineral resources. And so how we created those partnerships, those joint ventures that are mutually synergetic and we can learn from each other, it's very important, and it's going to be key going forward in the industry. The other big piece for mineral exploration, still in the partnership, is how we partner with the ecosystem, how we partner with technologies outside mining, and with whether it's Silicon Valley for artificial intelligence, machine learning, generative AI. That's definitely has to be on top of what we're doing to really get the most about our data. That is going to be fundamental, and to interpolate, integrate, and look at our data set in a four-dimensional way, in a much faster and consistent way. So that's going to be fundamental. It's going to be fundamental, the partnership with government. That is forefront, how we are promoting sustainable mining, and we reframe what permitting looks like in a way that we can work together with the communities, but also move forward the activities. The other big piece of focus for me is going to be the talent, how we're building the next generation of talent. That is going to be a key role for exploration. We can have the best ideas, we can have the best portfolio, but if we don't have the talents to work with us and to move this forward, then we are not going to really be able to deliver. So that's going to be very important. And the last piece, which is a big learning from Xplor, is how we can take the same ways of working that we develop with Xplor, where we are more nimble, agile, we accelerate our ways of working into exploration. How we do this, learn fast and move to the next idea, next concept. And we learn quite a lot with the Xplor program on how we can be more agile, more nimble, how we can accelerate the concept in a way that we're focusing on only what it matters. Fostering this mindset of learning fast, where we can have a churn of opportunities in the portfolio. We do enough work to understand if it's worth going forward or not, and drop it. That's not only accelerate opportunities, but it just unlock constant resources and potential for us going forward. So all of these are going to be my key priorities for exploration in the next 6 months. And on the spirit of acceleration, we are really fast moving with the new strategy refresh for exploration, the operating model, and executing that and starting fresh at the beginning of 2024.
As you mentioned, obviously in the introduction, working in the petroleum industry, what learnings have you taken from being in that in the petroleum sector, and I suppose, what kind of things are you applying into the mining industry? I suppose there is a lot of differences and probably a lot of similarities, but what would you say are some of the learnings and some of the things that you've brought from the petroleum industry into the mining industry?
There are maybe a couple of things that to me are really important as we go forward that I want to take with me. I go back to the importance of partnership and collaboration because that is a very consistent way of doing exploration in the oil and gas. Is a big problem to solve, is big region to unlock, is a very high cost type of activities. So you often do that in a partnership. It's very unlikely that you work alone in exploration. We've been working in a joint venture type operate and partnership in large region. And if I think about my previous portfolio, most of my activities really were bringing in partners where we can share ideas, concept, capabilities, as well as financial resources. So that was really important. And that's something that I would like to actually unlock more into mining as well, and not just the relationship with the juniors, but actually relationship and partnership with peers. The other big piece that I quite appreciated on the oil and gas industry, often the oil and gas industry tackle industry challenges as an industry. There wasn't an expectation that each company were finding a solution for big challenges like how to drill ultra deep water, how to image better at that. A lot of those challenges were seen as industry challenges, and they were often tackled and unlocked through consortia and partnership across multiple companies. And that to me was really important because it was offering the collective mindset to solve a big industry problem. So I would like to see that done a little bit more into the mining sector, and that's something that I will not just sponsor but will encourage. And the last piece that I quite liked from the oil and gas was this constant building ecosystem with external world outside the industry. There were a constant partnership across multiple other industries that we could learn. I remember, for example, when we were thinking about portfolio management in exploration, we looked and brought in a consultant from pharmaceutical, how they're thinking about their portfolio management. Because as a sign, some similarities, it's still an R&D. There are a lot of things that are not going to work, they're going to fail. So how you manage that, how you look to what are the metrics to make a decision criteria, how you're looking at leading and lagging indicators. So there are these little nuances that they shouldn't stop us to look outside because we don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time, but we can learn from others. They have similar challenges. So that's I would like to see a little bit more.
What has your background in academic geology taught you about the business of working in exploration?
Two things. One more, I would say, from a technical point of view, and one more from a leadership point of view. From a technical point of view, partly because of my PhD scale, I was looking at regional scale as a big picture thinking. So I had to be very strategic on how I thought about region data and integration. I really like that. I like the big idea, the innovation, the thinking out of the box, and thinking, working with ambiguity, working with a lack of all knowledge. There were many things I didn't know. And so from a technical point of view, the big picture thinking really carried me back into how I think about exploration, thinking at the strategic level, at partnership, and how we're thinking at the globe. Then still from a technical point of view, I always knew in academia that I could never just work my idea and concept in isolation. I needed to collaborate with other people. I needed to have understanding of what others are doing, and how impact the knowledge I'm building and what I'm doing. And exploration is very much like that. There is none of us that has a full knowledge. We always have to learn from others, to challenge ourselves, and to think differently. It's never a unique solution. So I'm bringing that as well from academia into the exploration, how we collaborate and learn and know from others and integrate the learning. And the other piece is a little bit from a leadership point of view. It's how can you be what I learned in academia, because I had finite time and finite resources. It was really, it's easy to get into the trick of doing everything and expanding and never finishing the PhD. But actually, how can you be very focused on knowing that, yeah, all these things are nice to do, but these are the most important. But also recognizing when something is not working. And I did hit some walls during my PhD on things that ideas I had and I tested and it didn't work. So how can you recognize that very quickly and move to the next one? How you can pivot to the next one? So that's, to me, is really important from a leadership point of view to grow back into exploration. How we avoid to get in love with our ideas and concepts and keep working on things that never be working. So how we can make those decisions quickly. And lastly, I would say the understanding of risk. And when I say risk, I'm talking about technical risk. I learned quite a bit of that with my PhD and the risk associated to uncertainty. We just can't know anything or everything. So how do I do the right technical work to focus on the key uncertainties? And I brought that back definitely in exploration. There are definitely similarities there. I'm sure there are other learnings, but these are the ones that they come to me strongly.
Yeah. Obviously, as you're leading the BHP Xplor program and obviously overseeing the exploration for BHP, what strategies do you employ to sort of foster a culture of innovation and growth to always sort of drive continuous improvements in exploration operations?
So is I would say two steps or twofold to that. There is the collaboration and the external facing, and then there is the internal aspect of innovation and creativity. Externally, I encourage the team through collaboration with universities, with different type of research center to think out of the box. We have a collaboration with whether it's a technology through AWS and other companies like that. So I wanted to stretch the teams to think who is doing something very good out there that we can go and work with them and pick and learn from them. How can we also be there externally? How can we be at conferences? How we can be at different events that we can learn from others, but also advertise ourselves a little bit more. So that's it's fully encouraged and supported. And then internally, it's really important to recognize the space to give to people to learn fast, in the sense of have people to feel comfortable to test new ideas and get it wrong. Because at the end of the day, if you think about exploration, our success rate, let's say, is 20%, and it's being generous, which means that 80% of the time we're not going to find a discovery. But that doesn't mean we haven't been successful. That means that we are testing idea and concept, and sometimes we're going to find something good, and sometimes we might find some minerals, but they're not going to be the size that we want or the grade we want. That's not a failure. So how can we, for me, it's really important to give space to people to think within that frame so that they can generate these ideas and we can test it very quickly if they are good or not.
Yeah. And lastly, in concluding, what's the sort of short and medium term outlook for both the BHP Xplor program and obviously BHP metals exploration future over the next sort of short to medium term?
For Xplor, we just completed our call for application for the second round for cohort 2024. We have doubled the amount of application of last year, and really excited. Amazing quality of opportunity, true global footprint, and we had 529 applications, which is remarkable. And so we are now busy on interview week. So we are interviewing the top candidates, and we should come with a recommendation of the companies that we wanted to bring in cohort 2024 in the next couple of weeks. And so that we're just going to be again running the program and completing at the end of June 2024, and we'll see next. We are also working in parallel on future partnership with the companies that were in a cohort 2023. So that is progressing in parallel. And then for exploration, with this definitely the view on how we're taking the pipeline from Xplor companies that we've seen, and we have sponsored into exploration. So how we progress that pipeline. And then for exploration itself, we are on the process of refreshing our strategy. That is going to dictate quite a bit where are we playing, what type of technology we're going to focus, and how we are going to bring forward our new set of activities and portfolio. That's going to be ready to go by January, with also a new operating model that should really support delivering the strategy. But overall, if I think about the medium and long term for exploration, watch the space, but see us doing more partnership, working more externally with the ecosystem, testing some new technologies that can really unlock our ability to integrate data and look at depth, and as well as moving us in very large areas and building more space. And lastly, is really continuous developing talent. That's going to be a key aspect of the new strategy.
Sonia, thank you for your time. Appreciate you giving us an overview of obviously the BHP Xplor program, what BHP are doing in the exploration space, and obviously sharing some of your insights, especially coming from the petroleum industry and what lessons you've learned to bring into the mining industry. So really appreciate your time. If our audience wants to reach out to you, if they want to follow any of your stories, or maybe look at the Xplor program for future years, I wonder how can they go about doing that? What sort of social media platforms do you are you on, and do you advertise on?
So our main media platform is definitely LinkedIn. You can find me in LinkedIn. Please feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to talk to people and share ideas and concepts. And also through my LinkedIn account, there is a direct connection to the BHP Xplor webpage if people want to find more information. And normally we post on LinkedIn as well any new advertisement, any new update quite consistently, I would say, on a weekly basis on BHP Xplor. So you can find a lot of information there. Our webpage for Xplor is BHP /explore.com.
Yeah, we can include those in the show notes, so for easy access. And as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, you're going to be at the Resourcing Tomorrow event in London, which is at the end of November. And obviously encourage anyone that's listening to go and get your tickets now. And obviously Sonia's going to be part of a panel there, and maybe they can meet you in person if they have any questions. So really, like I said, I really appreciate your time.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Rob. Thanks a lot for talking to me.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I hope you enjoyed that episode. Please, as always, share this episode with people in our industry, but also people outside our industry, because we need to promote mining. It's a great industry to be in, and we need to showcase what we're doing. Sonia's obviously spoken about some of the programs, the Xplor program, encouraging junior miners to apply and help them develop their projects. So it's a great initiative. So as always, appreciate your continued support. Please keep sharing these episodes. And until next time, happy mining.
Thank you for listening. Remember to reach out to Rob via the show notes and be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, happy mining, helping each other to improve the mining industry.